If you're hearing our voices, that means it's time for It's This Meets That, the podcast where we watch terrible movies so you don't have to, but maybe you should. I'm Russ.
I'm Jared.
And we're back for part 2 of the poorly or correctly named Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, the movie that has nothing to do with the source material at all. Like, in name only, Artemis Fowl. Big bird boy.
We're big bird boys over here. So when we left off in part 1, we were about just under halfway through this movie. So, do you want to
introduce?
Yeah.
So we introduced our main villain, Opal Cowboy. Our main villain who has maybe 3-4 minutes of screen time.
As much time as Colin Farrell does? Maybe less?
Yeah, I guess slightly less screen time than Colin Farrell.
Slightly less. So our villain who is causing all these problems, we don't know anything really about. Well, we don't know about them, but we know about their intentions, which is
right. She's kind of a terrorist trying to, I think we find out a little bit later more explicitly, but like you get the sense that she's not happy with how the fairy government is running things, how they're, trying to be underground, and she seems anti-government.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm. Aren't we all? We're all a little Opal Cowboy. Yeah.
A little bit.
Anyway, so then we get to the next scene where finally Officer Short flying around gets to the fairy tree here, and I forget the name. You remember the name?
No, of course I don't. But so there's
the Hill of Torah.
Yeah, whatever. Sure, that sounds fine. So there's a big oak tree, that's close to the Artemis Fowl mansion.
Why'd you say oak? Yeah.
Didn't they say it was an oak?
Is it an oak?
Yeah. It's a strong wood. It's a good wood. So pretty sure he said it was an oak tree.
Top 5 wood.
Officer Short is heading towards this tree that's I don't know, was there ever explained why this tree was important? I think Little Fowl explained it like briefly and was just like, there's a tree of fairies which is important, and we're like, okay, what? I thought
I think it was more about the hill, I think, and that's where I was trying to remember that it was like the Hill of Terra or something like that.
Well, so we're still in a situation where Little Fowl has a plan for this entire movie is part of his plan that's playing out. And there was a couple scenes before in episode 1 we talked about where Dom is out in the cold watching this tree with like a tranquilizer gun, right?
Yeah, R.I.P. Dom.
And this is all part of the plan. So so I don't know. So she heads towards this tree because apparently there's something there that will tell her more about her father, and she's trying to clear his name, blah, 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 right?
Yeah. And then apparently Artemis is also now staking out stuff with Dom that I hadn't expected.
Yeah. Well, he was doing it from like back in the warm confines of his home. With
no. At this point, did you see he was next to him at this point in the forest?
Oh, the first time he wasn't. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah. The first time he wasn't. And then all of a sudden, like he just shows up at his outpost. Like, I don't understand. Why would he appear all of a sudden?
So then we get...
This is when Artemis realizes fairies are real. This is when he says to Dom, the fairies, they're real. Everything my father said was true. Very Han Solo.
Yeah.
Force Awakens kind of moment here.
It's all true. It's all true. That's a pretty good...
All of it.
I think we do pretty good. That's pretty good Han Solos there. Old Han Solos there. Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Right.
It's true. All of it.
It's pretty good. It's like a Josh Gad.
Yeah. It's actually how Josh Gad tries to sound.
It's like a Josh Gad, Dame Judi Dench.
Mashup.
It's true. All of it.
All of it. It's true. Yeah. All of it. All right. Anyways, I feel like I could do that for like an hour. It's true. All of it.
Right. Because you remember how it made you feel when you watched it the first time.
Right. It was like, oh shit, it's true.
Shit.
All of it.
The Jedi are real. So then we find a nameplate for Beechwood. We got a
because why not
Beechwood Short shout out here.
Beechwood Terrace sounds like a really fancy.
Oh, that does sound nice,
right? Beechwood Terrace. I'd live on that street.
Oh, totally, yeah. And then Artemis attempts to shoot her with a tranquilizer dart or something and misses, and then Dom nails her.
Yep. Bingo bango.
Goes down hard. So we cut back to the fairy headquarters then, talking about how the only human settlement near Holly's last coordinates is Fowl Manor. And of course, Dame Judi Dench knows all too well about Fowl Manor and the role that it's played in fairy history here.
Right. She's 800 years old, so of course she knows what's going on, right? She's got a little clue into. She's got a little clues about clues, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, when I said earlier that Dame Judi Dench was the police captain, I really meant that she's like the joint chief of the armed forces over here, because she's talking about a full scale recovery with land, sea, air. Like we're getting after everything, right?
Yeah, the Marines of Fairyland.
Yeah, and then Cudgeon comes in to remind her, like, "Ma, don't you know that's not a cool thing to do? Like, Artemis Fowl is a little piece of shit."
I mean, he is kind of a dick, so I don't disagree there. So
fair. Well, and then Dame Judi Dench says, "Get the 4-leaf clover out of here."
Does she actually say that? Did I miss that? Holy
she does
shit.
She does say that.
How did I miss that? Because there's another line I'm reading right now that I wrote down. I was like, that was a great line. And it wasn't a good line, but
yeah. And that's where, like, I wasn't
clover out of here.
I honestly wasn't sure if Judi Dench's character was a leprechaun or a fairy, because at the beginning of the movie, remember they said, like, "Oh, the leprechaun's here, look out." It's like, and it was when Judi Dench showed up, so I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
What team is she on?
It was also very unclear what all the characters, like, there's gnomes, I think, there's fairies, and then there's what Josh Gad is.
Well, there's dwarves, and then there's giant dwarves,
and then there's goblins and giant dwarves,
goblins, and then
there's like fairies, and then there's whatever I said before,
trolls, obviously.
Yeah, and then there's I don't know, it's, whatever. Come on,
centaurs. There's all kinds of stuff.
It's great. I mean, that's cool.
You're right.
So all during this, so we do get through this whole whatever. So we get a little. We also, I don't know if we missed it, but in between this, or at some point, we do get a little exposition about how humans can't see fairies. I don't know if this was already said before or not, but
go on, because I don't think that's true.
What do you mean?
I don't think they said that. No, they were talking about how fairies can brainwash you, and that's why they wear the sunglasses.
Well, but fairies can't be seen by. No. They said this multiple times. They even said it when in the wedding situation. She's like, "Yeah, you can't be seen by humans because humans can't know that fairies are real because the stories that humans have about fairies is all fairy."
Right. So we're saying the same thing. So you're saying
the stories that have fairies, humans have about fairies are fairy tales, whereas
you're saying they shouldn't be seen, and correct. I'm saying, like, optically, your eyes can see them. When you're saying fairies can't be seen, I was like, no, of course fairies can be seen.
Oh, yeah.
There is a weird thing with sunglasses, but it's not that.
Yeah, and there's also a weird thing with the English language, what we just did. But yes. Where I was like, they can't be seen. Right. Like, no, they can be seen. I'm like, no, but they're not supposed to.
They shouldn't be. Right.
They shouldn't be. They're not supposed to be seen. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, I don't know. I think that was both our faults. We lack communication skills.
So I was a communications major. Damn it. Or I mean, Darvit.
That was even close, so that's fine. All right.
So we wake up in bed with Holly, right? At the Fowl Manor here.
Oh yeah. So she's caught. She's in a cage.
Didn't like how I phrased that, I guess.
Yeah, no. It was...
Yeah, we wake up in bed with Holly.
Yeah,
she's 84, Russ. It's okay. Anyway,
leaving that alone.
She's in a fairy cage or something weird, and she just shouts, "Not happy." Do you remember that? What a weird transition.
It's great though. I love it. Yeah. So yeah. So young Artie's caught himself a fairy, and then we have a flashback to his dad, right?
Yeah. And his dad literally telling him what to do when he encounters fairies. Like, don't talk to them. They're trained in mesmerism. They will hypnotize you. Whatever. And then, just like on Psych, which I was talking about a second ago, I think off recording, Psych, the USA TV show, just like that, his his dad is quizzing him on stuff when he's a little kid. Like, what are your defensive options here? Well, of course, Dad, humans should wear reflective glasses to avoid mind control.
I mean, obviously, clearly.
Yeah, and his dad just goes, good. Well, what's unique about dwarves? Wait, why are we cramming all of this into one little scene?
And why does everyone need to be quizzed on that?
I don't know.
And my dad was like, son, if you receive fairy, don't look him directly in the eyes and make sure you have protective sunglasses. I'm like, that makes sense. Okay. Because why? Because they'll take over your brain and don't do it. I'm like, yeah, I'll have sunglasses all the time.
Always, Daddy. Thank you.
Do I need like ray blockers? What do I need here? Oh my God.
And so then he goes, what's unique about dwarves? And young Artemis says, well, besides digging, they're master thieves and pickpockets. Like real prejudice against dwarves all of a sudden in the Fowl household. Like,
yeah, nothing like describing characters that are already in the movie. Let you know what they are.
And his dad just goes, and why? It's like, well, they're obsessed with treasure, Dad, and constantly searching for it. And you're like, oh, this feels like a weird Nazi thing that I don't like. Like, this isn't in the movie. This isn't in the books. Like, stop.
Oh my God. This is great. This is fantastic. So then I think what happens
We're back
now?
We're back with Holly and Juliet, who we met only briefly earlier. But before we get to that, I was just gonna say, I think the core problem with the movie is that like the book in the book series are just too much source material and they're trying to cover it too quick. So like that's why they make conversations like this in the woods. We're like, yeah, tell me about fairies and also dwarves, because we're going to talk about them in the next minute.
yeah. They tried to ramp too much, like make him like a major character that everyone's going to like and be like, yeah, here's 7 more movies. It's
yeah.
Like,
I'm like,
no,
it's too much content for one movie. Like space it out a little more.
Yep. Yeah.
So then we get back and we're back with Holly and Juliet. Juliet is about to feed Holly. Her lunch looks delicious. Wearing reflective glasses, of course.
Yep.
And it's like a nice piece of bread, an apple, some spinach, maybe some other veggies on there. It looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, Juliet is surprised that Holly speaks English. She's like, of course I speak English. What else would I speak?
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I'm not a troll. I'm a fairy.
Get your lore right.
Yeah. Hate it.
And then so they're chatting. I kind of lost track where we were here. I jumped. I think I skipped all this shit. And I was just like, all right, I don't know what the fuck's going. Let's just jump right to the big battle. But do you have anything?
There's a lot of like little quick scenes here. So like Holly ends up trying to mind control people because obviously, because
that's what fairies can do. By the way, fairies have a lot of power. Actually, they have a lot of magical power. They can do a lot of crazy shit.
So much magic that we don't even know about.
Like they're unbelievable. They're actually super powerful. I mean, they can bring the dead back to life. So they are very powerful.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one. But yes.
So Artemis is just like, oh, welcome to Fowl Manor, Officer Short. And Holly is surprised somehow that Artemis can read Elvish because he read her name tag, which was written. She said in Elvish. I was like, wait.
Aren't you a fairy? I don't know what's going on.
Aren't you a fairy? And isn't the language Gnomish?
What character are you? What are you?
From the source material, like, just use the source. Again, it's Gnomish is the language that the fairies speak. Just say Gnomish. It's easy enough.
Like, why did they change all of that?
It's so frustrating.
Do you think they fucked up or something? No, they couldn't have. The guy who wrote the books was involved in the screenplay.
Right. And Kenneth Branagh's there making sure that there's no buttons on anything. So like he's paying attention to every detail.
Yeah, all the details. Clearly. Kenneth, get your shit straight.
I don't know. It's stupid.
Yeah, because I remember there was such a call out like, it's on your helmet.
Then we cut back to another scene in the prison with Josh Gad, right? Doing a little more narration.
I think I skipped over this because it was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead. I don't know.
It's more of the same, but it's also the interrogator actually seems interested for a change. So like, I feel like it contradicts itself later because the interrogator becomes disinterested again.
Yeah.
But at this particular moment, he's like, well, why would Artemis do that? uh, and do that in terms of try and hold a fairy hostage. And Josh Gad's character goes, he captured a living fairy. You dumb fuck, is implied.
Very much implied.
Yeah. He's like, try to imagine humans find out there's a world of magical creatures living beneath them. Most human beings are afraid of gluten. How do you think they'd handle goblins? And that was the big yikes. Like, that joke would have been funny, I think, in like 2016, maybe 2015.
Yeah.
And even then.
Yeah, but the gluten pandemic is just like, it's so big right now.
I guess, but no one's afraid of gluten. Like, there are people with celiac disease.
Yeah, and it sucks if you eat it, but it's like, whatever. Okay. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Like, nobody's afraid of gluten. Like, I hate this. It's bad writing. It seems like they're trying to, be witty.
Yeah, that's a joke from someone who's not allergic to gluten writing that joke. And it's just kind of like, it's not funny.
It's a real issue.
It's also not funny to begin with, so.
No, right. Like, why include it at all?
Like, I'm not allergic to gluten, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Same. Yeah, and it's not.
Like,
why would you mock those people? Right.
That's called punching down. God damn it.
Right. Kenneth Branagh. And then they talk more about the Aculos and why Artemis wanted to get it to save his father's life.
Blah, blah, blah. How important it is, how powerful it is yet again.
Right. And this is when, like, Josh Gad is, again, reading the script. Like, all this stuff this works in books, but not in movies, where he's like, at last, Artemis's master plan was finally falling into place. Like, no one talks like that. Russ, when's the last time you said "at last"?
I mean, do you really want to know?
Kind of. Like, it's not a thing people say.
I mean, yesterday morning, I went out to the living room. I was like, at last, Russ arrives in the living room. And what?
Oh, you narrated it to yourself. Got it.
Yeah, man. I narrate my days.
Yeah. Normal people don't say that.
Okay. So, yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
I hate it. The dialogue in this movie is probably its biggest failing, right? Like,
100%. Do we talk about how they kind of built a trust a little bit yet, or no?
No, not yet. No,
okay.
That's skipping way ahead.
Okay.
No, we're still at, we head back to the oceans, and all of a sudden, like, fairies are popping out of everywhere. They're trying to set up a time freeze over Fowl Manor in its entirety.
Yeah.
And then some. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Poor Dom is like, the whole world is ending. You're like, yeah, Dom, like, get out of here while you can.
Yeah, dude. I'd be like, I don't know. It just looks like a hurricane. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And this is when Artemis, fairy explains it to him, like, oh, the fairies are doing it. They're creating a time freeze. They can operate unseen by the human eye. Russ's favorite thing to talk about, how they can't be seen by the human eye.
Thank you very much.
And he's like, oh, I read all about it in my dad's journal. And you're like, wait, why haven't you said this before? This is important. Time freeze seems like a big game-changing deal that you should have told anyone about.
Like,
especially
everyone.
Dom. Yeah,
right.
Especially our poor friend, the butler here.
Who is your bodyguard?
Right. And this is when he again is pretending how smart he is, of like, oh, Einstein and Hawking were right. Time's bending all over. Anything's possible.
God. Which is terrible, because he spent the first part of the movie kind of shitting on Einstein. His theories were, I don't know,
usually correct.
Usually correct. And it's like, now all of a sudden his theory, like, get out of here. Be consistent, you dick. Yeah. And I hate this kid. I hate this kid so much.
Quick cut to Dame Judi Dench talking about how fairies. Oh no, sorry. This is when Holly's saying this. So it cuts back to Artemis and Holly in her fairy prison, where she's saying that fairies don't negotiate, and you got to set me free because shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. They're gonna all come.
And Artemis he's just playing with the fairy weapons. And you're like, wait a second. Like, Holly says, you're so dead. The pair of you, like, she's really unlikable right now. As a character, you're like, there's a lot of talk about killing this 12-year-old boy for a PG rated movie, in my opinion. I don't know. A lot of
I'm fine with
murder.
it. He's a dick. She's 84 years old. She knows what's going on, but
I guess you're right. And we cut to, like, Foley is in the command room here, like, touching all the like, it looks like a stock photo where he, like, touches a panel and little glowing things come out of it. You're like, oh, this is a stock photo. I forgot.
Yeah, things are happening, I guess.
Yeah. And they're like, deploy the time dome.
Deploy the freeze frame. And freeze frame goes out and things are just locked down. There's a fisherman who's in a boat. He gets tossed.
Got wrecked.
Yeah, he definitely got wrecked. Like perfect storm times 10.
Yeah, and that's when Foley goes, well, time freeze successful. Wait, that guy's boned like in a second.
Whatever. It's called collateral damage. Don't worry about it. He's fine.
It's a different movie.
He's going to land. It's like 3 movies. He's going to
land
land
joint.
He's going to land in the water. He'll be fine.
I don't know, man.
From that height, what is he going to do? Nothing. He'll be fine. So yeah, they do a freeze frame around all of the mansion there. We got only one civilian kind of caught in this, which is fine. Why was he fishing so close to the shore anyways?
Yep.
A little further out, so probably his fault. Just saying.
Yep.
We get full scale kind of storming the beaches moment. Which seemed like very like out of place.
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Exactly. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like you guys are storming the beaches. Like this is a different war. Which
there's five people in the manor. And this is when we get the my favorite Dame Judi Dench line from the movie.
This is the greatest line in the entire movie.
Right. She pops out, got her mask on, her like fairy mask, pops out of her carrier, whatever it is.
Yeah. After all this, like everyone's like storming the beaches. We got all the fairies around. Everything's like sealed in or ready to go attack. Yeah. She pops out and
maybe more evidence that she's a leprechaun when she just says, top of the morning.
That's like your big like line.
Yeah.
Top of the morning. Motherfuckers.
That's me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
So that's when we cut back to the fellas getting in their suits. Artemis and Dom are like, hey, we need to wear the skinny ties for this.
Skinny tie up, man.
Back out front, we're talking about, this is the line from the trailer, right? Where Artemis is, Dom is asking him if he's scared. And Artemis says, well, I prefer scared to dead if possible. And Dom just goes, agreed, if possible. Why did you write the script like this?
That makes no sense.
No, like in the book, Dom's like a pretty so like in the book, Artemis is, like I said, a villain. He's like a terrible anti-hero, and he's not good at social situations. He's not good at any and Dom is the villain. He's not good at being muscly or in social situations. His only thing that he has is his intellect. And Dom fills the gaps for most of it. Like they're way more like partners in the book.
Oh, that makes so much more sense then.
Yeah. Dom tries to like smooth things over and be witty and like, yeah. They don't do that in the movie.
No, not one bit.
Mm-hmm. This line could have been good if that was the case, but
agreed. If possible, come on, that makes no sense.
Stupid.
So then, we get a full scale battle mode, right?
Yep. Elves attack.
So. Are they elves or fairies? What are they?
Oh, they're fairies.
This movie sucks. All right, so we're moving on. We got to move along here because you can't. Ugh, fuck.
Fair enough. So this is when Artemis smartly says to Dom, "Shoot the time freeze capsule."
Obviously, I mean,
what?
Obviously,
yes. Yeah. Why didn't we do that earlier?
Yeah, it's just Zach Morris up on the ceiling there with a fucking cell phone. Just shoot it. Just shoot him.
Yeah. And and Dom has this like flaming arrow that he shoots up at the time capsule.
Fucking awesome.
It's cool. It's cool as hell.
Also, I throw it out now. There is later on a whole thing about this time capsule thing, which they've done multiple times, a freeze frame bubble, right? Did they ever later on it becomes a big, or no, is it right now? No. It's later. Is there a big point where it's like, oh, this thing's going to explode? Did they ever explain that at all?
No. So it starts now. This is when it starts. This is when Foley says like, hey, the time freeze isn't going to hold. You guys have to figure this out quick.
Right. He alludes to like, hey, if this is only got a time limit. Funny enough.
Exactly.
The freeze frame's got a fucking time limit to it for how long you can
27 minutes.
Which is
is what Artemis says in a few minutes when he meets with Dame Judi Dench.
Maybe okay. Hopefully it's a half-hour long time freeze frame, and he just said it 3 minutes later.
And this is when Artemis says, send in someone to negotiate. You have 5 minutes. All of a sudden, the Artemis that I know from the books starts to take over, and you're like, oh, now he starts to be a real bastard.
Now he's a real dick. Before he was just a dick. Now he's a real dick.
I want him to be a super dick. I don't know.
It's your book, man. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's my book. You're right. Sorry, Owen Colfer.
You're the reader. You're the fan. It's your book. That's how it works.
You're right.
So then we end up with we get to the villain's lair.
Yep. Big exposition for the villain. Yeah.
So much exposition. This was brutal. A villain and Big Fowl, Colin Farrell, chatting.
Yep.
And
one of his 4 lines in the movie when he says, why are you doing this? All he says.
My God, please don't answer that question. Please don't answer that question. Oh, okay. Revenge. And here's a bunch of other information that's very important to the plot and everything else. It's like, oh my God, this actually is a James Bond movie from the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, it totally is. As soon as the humans were gone, as soon as we were gone, you reduced us to your silly stories. Fairies and humans are incapable of friendship, incapable of coexisting. Some thought I was mad. They wouldn't listen to me, but guess what? They're listening now.
That's pretty good, dude. Holy shit. You should do some voice acting for Transformers or something.
Right? I was thinking I was trying to go little He-Man there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, classic 80s He-Man.
Skeletor action.
Yeah, that was good. Shit.
Thanks.
I actually forgot what the fuck I was doing.
Well, we're listening to Skeletor talk about the goals of the movie here.
Oh yeah, and then you stopped and I was like, now what? What happens now?
Yeah. Well, now we go back to the manor.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Oh, sorry. Right. So
we got a 12-year-old versus an 803-year-old.
Classic chess match. So Judi, the old Judi Dench there, and a little fowl chatting. And yeah, so we had 12-year-old versus 803-year-olds.
Now, is she trying to big league him? She pretends that she doesn't know who he is. She's like, "Who are you?"
So wait a second. So I didn't get this either because this felt like it kept popping up, but I felt like early on, when they said they mentioned the Fowl Manor, she was like, "Oh, the Fowls!" They know who they are. They know the family.
I know it well. She explicitly said, "Oh, right. Fowl Manor, I know it well." What?
You said that fucking 35 minutes ago.
I think she's big timing him. I think she's like, oh, who's Artemis Fowl?
Yeah, who gives a shit? I'm 800 years old. I'll be 804 next May.
Yeah,
I was for sure thought you were gonna make some old joke for me because her birthday's in May, so is mine.
Oh no.
Was that too easy?
I would never.
Was that too easy?
Yeah, it's called low hanging fruit, Russ.
It's so low hanging fruit. I did it for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'll get you on the next one. And I love the clap back from Artemis Fowl here of bring me the Aculos in one of those pots from under a rainbow, I presume. I was like, wait a second, is she a leprechaun?
Yeah,
I'm so confused.
There's no clear line of what these characters are. What species are they?
No clue. Reiterates that they don't pay ransoms. They think they're the CIA or some shit. Wait, we don't negotiate with terrorists except for when it's convenient.
And then Judi Dench pulls back and decides to send in a dwarf. But before we get to that, we cut back to. Do we cut back to Gad here? Or are we a little off? Did I miss something? I may have missed something. You
may have missed something again. So we cut back. This is when we cut to Foley, to Foley / Judi Dench. This is the outside scene that I love, that I wrote down kind of verbatim because I thought it was funny. This is when Judi Dench goes, "Who is this child?" And Foley goes,
"Oh, right.
I think he said he was Artemis Fowl Jr." She goes, "Shut up, Foley. Shut up, Foley. Can't anyone ask a rhetorical question around here?"
Yeah, so she was definitely playing him inside. She was just like, "Who are you?" Yeah. She knows who he is. Obviously, she's gotta know.
So stupid.
She's M from MI. She's M from MI6,
right? Yeah, I don't know.
She knows everything. She's mum,
and that's when we get more narration from Josh Gad, where he's setting the stage for a true hero of the story. Well, if you ask me, that is.
So then we get to him in a prison. Oh, go ahead.
You've written a script or two in your day, and I've written a script or two for various skits and things. Like not anything that I would say, but like this is like what you do when you're bad at writing scripts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, if you ask me, that is like, why would you write something that cliche?
Yeah, it's a little too on point.
Yeah. And this is when Judi Dench calls for "Get me Mulch Diggums." You're like, wait, is he the only dwarf?
He's the only big dwarf.
I guess he's the only dwarfus giganticus, which we'll get to.
So then we end up in where Gad is in prison with a bunch of goblins.
Yep. With Josh Gad giving more exposition about dwarves, like, well, Artemis knew the truth about dwarves all along. We can't resist treasure.
Yeah. Well, that was him doing a narration, right?
Right. Sorry.
Okay.
And then the first time in prison, apparently he did 164 years. That's what I'm saying. Like 400 years seems like a lot.
But you do 164 like it's no big deal. It's only a quarter of,
I guess so.
I don't know what dwarves or elf or fairies or their time. I mean, their time may be different from ours,
Fair. But I appreciate the Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, like, I want to know what love is. Like, get a foreigner going, humming along in the prison.
This was this had to have been a Josh Gad, like,
oh yeah.
Like he had to have been like, oh, here's the song we should play. And I'm listening to this and like, it's something from the 80s. And I was like, he definitely picked this. And he definitely was like,
oh, have you guys seen that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where they listen to 80s music and like dance around? Like, I want to do that.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I'm like Chris Pratt, guys.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well,
right? I don't know about that. So we get that, and we get him just proving yet again he loves the 80s. We all know you do.
Like, why is he taunting the goblin? Like, I don't.
Well, the goblin. I mean, to be fair to Gad, there, I mean, goblin is giving an eye. Him and his cronies are giving an eye. So
yeah, but if you're in a little cell with them for presumably 400 years, why are you going to start shit right now?
Because he knows he can beat them, which he does. Which I didn't get this whole power thing. So yeah, so he's having a one-off face-off, whatever, with the goblins. Goblins, like threaten him.
Well, right before that, we introduced the premise of the way that dwarves are tunneling is by actually eating the dirt and shitting it out.
Yeah. So So
which is hilarious.
So the goblin says this and introduces it, right?
Yeah, which is from the book. That's canon.
Okay, all right. Well, then I guess I feel less bad about when it actually happens because, like, I know they said this, and I was like, I heard it, and I was like, they're not actually going to do that, are they? They do. They show it. It happens.
They will. Like, just give it a minute.
It's like of all the things to keep from the book, you kept that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like you didn't keep Juliet as the younger sister.
You didn't keep anything that was important.
Yeah, stupid things like that. Yeah. And yet, and so this is when, like, first of all, goblins breathe fire in this universe. Badass. Like I'm into that. Goblins seem shitty in most other fairy universes. I don't know.
Yeah, no, goblins are usually pretty terrible. I mean, goblins are by definition terrible. So
yeah, I'm into it. And then like the line, and again, this is PG. This is where I was like, wait a second, we can't do all of the fun stuff, and yet we can do things like this, where Josh Gad goes, your skin may be fireproof, but what about your brains? Yeah. And then proceeds to like stop up the goblin's nose that he's breathing fire out of and explodes him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Holy end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Batman.
Right? And everyone's okay. Everyone around him is okay, except for that goblin that he murdered.
I mean, there's like a blast that goes out and everyone's kind of knocked over, but it was just like, wow, it's pretty aggressive, actually.
Yeah, wild for a PG movie.
Yeah, that's where it got the PG. So, so they
volcano him up to the surface. Is the transition. The transition is they're like, oh, that's when the head elf or whatever fairy shows up and it's like, Oh,
Hey.
you gotta go do an Artemis Fowl thing. Hold on.
Boop, shooting you up there.
Yep. Easy.
And then I think we come back to Little Fowl and Officer Short moment, right? They have a dad moment. That's right. They have a dad moment. This is where we learn the true story of the whole thing is about dads and their kids.
Yep. She's one-upping him. He says, my father was kidnapped. She goes, my father's dead.
Nailed it. How do you fucking feel?
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah. How do you feel, Mr. Fowl? Little Fowl.
Ruthless.
Want it. And we get much more exposition about the Oculus and how important it is to Facebook and like how it's going to take over and destroy everyone's minds.
Yeah. And this is when like Artemis takes off his sunglasses and says, well, how did he die? And you're like, wait a second. Why isn't Holly brainwashing him right now? If that's what they're supposed to do as fairies,
right?
Like he gives her so many opportunities to get out of this whole situation.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a trust thing, but I'm also going to throw it out there. And you can, I mean, there's spoiler reveal, right? For the books, mom, elf, fairy.
No, she's regular. She's just a crazy person in the books.
What? That's it? That's the whole thing?
Yeah. She's just a regular crazy person.
I thought there might have been like another like behind the scenes, like he takes off the glasses and we're all supposed to think he would get, but maybe she knows that she can't and she's holding it back because there's some reason. And it's big because maybe he's got his mother was a.
No, no, she has like PTSD. I feel like
these books need to be rewritten too.
Yeah, no, she's like PTSD or something, like schizophrenia or whatever. Like she actually like loses her marbles in the series, and like she like there's a lot of she's a very well developed character in the books, which I like. Where she's always at one point she's talking to Artemis Senior's suits, like they're like there's a person in them. Like it's like a really like there's a lot of good scenes with her. Showing how she's losing her mind over time, and they just squandered all of that.
Just like, nah, we don't need that.
This could have been a good movie.
Yeah, Disney's like, nah, we don't do mental illness here.
Yeah, fuck mental illness.
Let's move on.
Yeah, and this is when like that you're right when Holly's explaining how the Oculus is a skeleton key for the whole universe. Oh, that's
what the fuck is it now?
MacGuffin.
Yeah, right. It's like. It was first described as something that was unimaginable power. Then it was described as something that could do open portals and all this sort of stuff and make, the DC Marvel universes the same. And now it's described as a skeleton key for the whole universe. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Nothing. It means nothing. Nothing means anything.
Just explain what the fuck it does so we can so we can be terrified by it.
Right. And they're like bonding over there.
Yeah, when you do this shit, I don't know what. Okay. Anyways, yeah.
No, I was just saying the bonding of their criminal dads of like, yeah, both of our dads suck, I guess, but mine's not dead, so huge win.
Gotcha.
Yeah, got you good.
Got you good. Real good there, huh? Anyways. And then we get, I think, Josh Gad and Judi Dench meeting.
Yep. We get a little Foley action saying the time freeze integrity is down to 60%. And
classic.
Josh Gad rolls up. With Commander, not Brittany, which I thought was kind of funny. Like they gave Josh Gad all the good lines, right?
Yeah, because he was the comedic relief.
They're trying to negotiate some kind of lower sentence here for him, for his in exchange for his help, right?
Yeah, this was all just kind of annoying to me. I don't know.
Which, again, he's got a 400-year sentence. Dame Judi Dench is offering him 50 years off a sentence. Which,
that's nothing. That means nothing.
Right? This seems like a huge risk.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there's a couple of quotes that I wrote word for word here because they were weird. And again, they gave Josh Gad the best lines in the movie. Yes. They're still kind of weird though. Like, has anyone ever told you you're like David Bowie if he was a fairy? So you're like David Bowie. Can you imagine if the humans found out he was one of us?
That makes me like,
why would you say that?
It also feels like you just ruined a really good joke.
Right. They just they took everything a little bit too far. It's just bad joke writing.
So it was like, man, that was like that would have been a perfect line, but like it feels like you just kind of trampled over it. Like,
yeah. And like they trample over a lot of the dialogue here, I think, when Josh Gad's talking about how he just wants to be small. I want to be normal like other dwarves. And like they just steamroll all over that, ignore it entirely. And then I love the self-awareness line of the listen to us grunting at each other like a couple of hippos with a throat infection. Like, how is Judi Dench keeping a straight face in this? Like, she's doing an incredible job because this is fucking funny.
Yeah, she's just like, you know what, that Disney paycheck, it is fine.
Yeah. Listen to us grunting at each other like a couple of hippos with a throat infection. And Judi Dench is like, yeah, definitely. I agree.
This is definitely the same point though, where like it felt like Josh Gad couldn't keep up with the voice. And like he was like doing David Bowie thing and everything else. Everything he was talking here was like, I think he's just breaking into. I think he's just Josh Gad now. I think he's just Josh Gad talking. Like he couldn't keep up with it.
Yep. Oh, and then complaining about how everyone thinks he's a criminal while he's picking Dame Judi Dench's pockets. Hilarious.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't believe he accepted 74 years off his sentence.
So he finally works out a deal where he's like, I'll take 74 years off for a year sentence.
Dumb. What an idiot.
So this is when we get
the scary mouth effects, right? And Josh Gad goes, it's feeding time.
This is actually fucking terrible.
Right? He like unhinges his jaw and stretches it out in a real weird way.
It's feeding time. And he just stands there because like the whole plan is that he's going to dig underground because that's what he does, right?
Right.
And he's going to dig into the mansion and get in. Yeah. And he just pulls his mouth open. I was like, this is actually fucking terrible.
Right. Like they're like you said, there are so many other movies that do a lot of body horror. And this is the first time we get body horror in Artemis Fowl. And I don't care for it.
It is so brutal. And I was like, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Right? And then he just screams, Dwarfus giganticus, and starts eating the ground. And he's like, nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom.
And as he's eating, he's just actually shitting out all the dirt. Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, we were somewhat prepared for this moment to happen from the goblins, and the goblins are right. This is like you guys are stupid. But when it actually happened, I was like, man, this entire scene just blew this movie like out of the water. Like, clearly out of the water. I was like, I don't even know this. None of this.
Poor damn Judi Dench. Like, this is what an affront to your esteemed. Academy Award winning, I'm assuming, right? Like
should be, if not
at the very least nominated.
A shame. Yeah.
At the very least nominated many times over, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You made it. This whole movie comes down to a fart joke.
Oh, Bond.
Yeah. Oh, Bond.
Oh, Bond.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's keep cranking here. So
So Much gets into the house, right? And he broke in. This is when he's talking to Foley on his like comm thing with his eyeball camera.
Yeah,
right?
The old eyeball cam.
The eyeball cam is actually a big plot point in the books.
Oh, that's cool. All right, at least they stuck with something.
Yeah, one of Foley's major inventions. Well, did they? Because they don't talk about it at all. It's like in the movie for 2 minutes.
Come on, Jerry. We can't cover every fucking detail from the book.
You're right.
Goddamn book fan. Ugh.
And I love to throw a line from Josh Gad here to Foley of like, son of a wait, what would your parents be? Oh, come on, man.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Josh Gad has the best lines in this movie.
He does. He does.
And then Dom giving the play-by-play of like, it's like a really, really big dwarf. As he sees Josh Gad trying to get into this safe.
Yeah. So we had a cut back to Gad. He's back in the prison in interrogation again, talking about how awesome Little Fowl is.
Is he? I feel like that's later.
No. It's right here. It's a quick.
It's right here.
Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like they do like a weird quick cut back to him. Like he's back in like the thing, being like talking about how awesome he is because he explains like how he had this entire plan.
Right.
And he wasn't aware of it. Right? Because remember he's in the mansion. He's looking for the Oculus Rift. There,
Oculus, yeah.
The Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Oculus.
How many times have we said Aculus/Oculus in this podcast?
He's looking for
counter for that.
He's looking for the VR unit, and he jumps back to saying, like, I was part of his plan. I didn't know it at the time.
Yep. Perfect.
And then Lil Fowl and Officer Short are teamed up. I think they team up.
Yep. He needs Holly's help all of a sudden. Which, like, why does he keep exposing his eyes like that? I wouldn't trust her because she's clearly not a fan of his, right?
Hey man, you have a dad chat and you have some trust.
Again, the script writing in this is something else. If I let you out, will you promise not to take control of my brain? I want nothing to do with your brain. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Guess we're all good here.
Yep. And we're like, well, great. Holly's out. We're in the safe. Let's go.
Glad we cleared that up. Glad we got like a super powerful magician now on our side.
Yeah. Right. What?
Which is basically what she is.
Yeah. And then like all of a sudden dwarves can control their hair from their mustaches. He's like trying to use his mustache to unlock not in the books. That is not a thing in the books.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I skipped over it. I was like, I don't fucking care about this. This is weird.
That seems reasonable, except for the reason why I called it out is because we cut back to Josh Gad mustache opening this safe.
So yeah, so he's scanning through and he does find behind a painting of Artemis Fowl Sr. A safe, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. When he opens the first safe without his mustache, then he's trying to open the second safe inside the safe,
right
behind the painting, right, with the mustache. And so this is when in parallel, Artemis is letting Holly out of her cage, and Holly goes, "No, it sounds like you're not the only one opening locks." What? Why would you include that line? Like, I don't like. Are you trying to say that like dwarves or fairies can hear really well, or like what's like nothing in the script makes any sense?
No, that doesn't make any sense at all.
And Artemis threatening her, by the way, if you run, I'll expose your existence to the world. And you're like, wait a second, there's a guy over there trying to open up the safe. We got to get into the safe if that's where the Aculus is.
And it's like, how are you actually going to expose their existence to the world? Everyone's going to think you're crazy. She'll just disappear and that's it. You're an idiot.
And then she sucker punches him, which not cool.
I mean,
he deserves it, kind of.
Yeah, he definitely does. It made me feel good. I was like, thank God, he's a dick. He
does say, fair enough.
As a dick would say. Like, well, fair enough.
And then we cut back to Mulch Diggum's mustaching away at the lock here. And of course, it's the Aculus, which looks like an acorn. which Holly reminds us again, it's the Aculus, the most powerful treasure in the fairy world. Fuck you, Holly. We know that. You've already said that 100 times.
I wanted to punch myself in the face at this point.
I'm so mad. The way they keep telling us the plot over and over again.
I so badly want to punch myself in the face. I'm like, do I not know what this thing can do? I'm so confused.
No, it doesn't matter.
And guess what? It doesn't.
Right, and it'll kill any human who uses it. So clearly Artemis can't use it. And this is when we get the iCam. The only other time the iCam is significant when Artemis is like, well, we can't tell the fairies that we have the Aculus now. And Josh Gad goes, sorry, human, they already know. Points at his eye camera. Okay, why does he care all of a sudden about what the humans are doing? Like, it seems like seems pretty divorced from this. Like, he's very much he's
a con artist. So like, why would he? Well, because he wants. Right. Though I think we're supposed to think that like he cares because he gets the 74 years off his.
I guess dumb.
It's super fucking dumb.
Well, and that doesn't explain why he would care about Artemis. That explains why he would care about what Judi Dench wants.
Right. Well, I guess kind of for himself, but I don't know. It's flimsy. It's flimsy.
Yeah. So then
I ain't fucking buying it.
Stupid Cudgeon and the villain are working out how to intervene to steal the Aculus at this point, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. The time freeze is collapsing. There's a lot happening right now. Cudgeon starts removing Dame Judi Dench from power, which did not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Why are all her cronies going along with this?
This is pissing me off because so this Cudgeon guy was in prison by the villain for seemed like a very long time, and then just happens back into service, back into some role that is very powerful apparently,
Apparently.
And it basically runs a coup against Judi Dench's character and is like, you're unfit. You're making all the wrong decisions. And then
they're like, oh, 25th Amendment on you, apparently, because they have that.
Because they have that in the elfage fairy world, whatever the fuck they are. We don't know. Garden gnomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was fucking irritating. It's like, I don't know what this character, why does this guy have this much power all of a sudden? And like, why is it following him? Like, why is everyone listening to him? What the fuck?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Nothing, it doesn't make sense. And this is when, I was just saying, he gets her in handcuffs and they start talking about the troll as a weapon, right?
Yes.
So they feed it nettles and wasp juice, everything trolls are allergic to.
Nice.
Made it twice as strong and 10 times as mad.
Nice.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It's very Jurassic Park, like a
little bit.
Like, what have we created? And then I love did you get the Darvit?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, Dame Judi Dench is like, looks at the troll apocalypse about to happen and just goes, Darvit, which this is the first time they say it in the movie. In the book, it's a fairy language swear word that's so vulgar you can't translate it. Is the premise.
All right, so
back to the manor, right?
Yeah, so we're back to the crib, and I think some shit's going on outside, right?
Well, this is when Holly starts spouting off stats like it consumes humans in 2.97 seconds and fairies in less than 1. You're like, wait, what?
Why would they eat you faster than him? I mean, you're saying Matt.
I guess fairies are smaller. I don't. But I love how they're like the fairies outside are using the troll as a battering ram.
It's pretty great.
Smashing its forehead into
the fucking into the front door.
Yeah, pretty funny. And this is when I appreciate that they fixed it. So in the trailer, I complained about how the line was, I haven't read much about trolls. Anything I should look out for? And in the trailer, Holly's response was, the teeth, they eat people, which is a way worse line than just saying the teeth, as they kept it in the movie, finally. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, then now it's like not that, now it's like kind of clever. What should I look out for? The teeth. Pretty funny.
Yeah, because
obviously, yeah.
Yes.
Look out for the teeth.
Yeah, that's good. That's called letting your audience, be smart because they,
Right. I'm glad they fixed it in the final cut. But they ruined it in the trailer. So if you watch the trailer and then watch the movie like we did, it's obvious and it's not as good. Yeah. This is when they start jamming up all the magic, right?
Yeah, they jam up all the magic so none of the fairy elves can use their magic. So that pretty much renders Holly Short just useless.
Exactly. She's worth nothing now.
there is like 2 ways they render her useless, and it is obnoxious.
She's got Foley's wings, which is really the only thing saving and hurting her in a second. But
yeah.
So they shoot the troll through the door, through the house. The troll goes halfway through the manor here, right?
Oh yeah. He cranks through. He's just bashed his way through. Like, yeah.
Poor troll. Yeah. Holly gets stuck. She flies up in the air and gets stuck in the chandelier or something.
So that actually really irritated me. I mean, I guess we're getting into the whole inside the manor troll fight, but
it's happening now.
I forget. Like, so she just got tossed into a chandelier, and then she's stuck there for the next
5 minutes.
5 minutes of action. So she's completely taken out of the scene. And she's completely useless other than a couple like hand grabs to throw people from like one top side to another. But the entire time she's just like, help, get me out of this. It was so I don't know why I was so irritated by this.
Same.
I don't know if it's justified, but it was just, I was so angry by this. Like, this is how you take out like a main character, by the way, who has no magic. So she can't do anything anyways, but she
could, yeah.
Like,
it was infuriating.
Like you lost, you didn't have enough money to like do the scene or something, like to have her flying around. Cause that's what she'd be doing. Like, I was so fucking irritating.
I bet that's what it was. Disney, like, they put $100 million in this and they're like, guys, we can do like 25 mil more, and that's tops.
But you cannot have a flying fairy. That's
Kenneth Branagh was like, well, the next most expensive scene we were going to have is this fairy flying all over them.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, Kennebunkport, no, you can't.
Yeah. And it's already so divorced. I appreciate that, by the way. It's already so divorced from the source material anyway that they're like, whatever, fuck it.
Who cares? Just
I'll just do whatever I want.
How about she just gets locked in a chandelier?
At the same time, Artemis and Dom are just being a distraction for the troll. Basically, Juliet's threatening the troll with
sandwiches
or something. Right. Basically sandwiches. And then like Mulch finally decides to help Holly, but he's not really helping.
No.
Troll. Then he eats the Aculos.
Right. He just like, whatever, I'll just eat this down. So I've got it, I guess that's like, is that more secure? I guess
it's safe in his stomach. I don't know. And the troll, meanwhile, is like ruining the Fowl Manor here. Really disappointing to see that architecture destroyed.
Whatever. Artemis can rebuild it. He's a genius architect, so whatever.
Apparently, yeah. And then this is when there's a lot of quick cuts with the troll just kind of running around. He's about to eat Juliet, and Artemis shoots him with the fairy gun. They're basically elves. We get another Darvit from Holly as the glass is breaking around the chandelier, and she's finally kind of free, but not really. Tons of quick cuts, lots of glass breaking, lots of CGI. Everything's happening all at once.
It's all madness. It's all craziness.
Yeah, it's all a little muddle. Poor Dom and Juliet, like they're getting rocked by the troll. Nobody's paying attention to them.
No, not one bit.
And then the time freeze is still collapsing, right?
Yes.
So I love, which I guess they kind of explain it away later, but they remember when they show that fairy screaming as it gets sucked out of the time freeze into oblivion.
Oh yeah, that was terrifying. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, like did that fairy just like become like scattered into atoms across the universe, or like?
I would love to know.
Yeah, it seems like it's more likely that it just got transported safely somewhere else, but
it's mostly I mean, it seems more reasonable, just like in an uncomfortable fashion. That's all.
But the way they did it, and the way that everyone was just standing around watching with horrified expression, like Dame Judi Dench is standing there looking scared as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This I feel like they should know better how this whole thing works.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's their tech. Shouldn't they understand how this thing's going? So
I suppose. And then this is when we get the chandelier finally falls right onto would-be Artemis Fowl, but Dom saves the day.
Pushes him out of the way. Well, it's not the chandelier. Well, it's the ogre or the troll. The troll collapses, lands on Dom. Chandelier drops for a comedic effect, but it's kind of like, that's kind of a weird comedic effect because we all know that Dom just got squashed.
Yeah, it's not funny.
Or did he? So,
he did. He got mangled.
I mean, he definitely did. But did he though?
Yeah, I don't know. Death is near.
It's a Disney movie. You can't go for long.
I think it's ruthless how so they mangle Dom, and then he can't be fixed because Holly's like, oh yeah, sorry, shit out of luck, no magic, buddy. Like, wait a second. Yeah. And like, and like somehow they put him in a chair and he's like in pristine condition, right? He's got no buttons, he's got no creases.
No buttons, no creases. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Kenny Bunkport.
Yeah. Kenny Bunkport is loving this right now. So he's sitting in this chair, and that's when I love this line. And by I love it, I mean, it's horrifying when he's like, Kiri Oroshi, the fatal blow. Like, I've had my time. I'm sorry, Artemis. And Artemis is trying to cheer him up. Like, you guys did great back there. All the butlers through all of history be proud of you. Goodbye, my friend. Really emotional.
Yeah.
And then he spouts off the old "May the road rise to meet you."
Yeah, the old Irish blessing, right?
Yeah, and in the end, dude, the end gets me with the "Until we meet again, may a friend always be near." You know, like that's a powerful sentiment.
It's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I love it.
So,
but no one can die.
Right. Well, meanwhile, outside, people are finally starting to turn on Cudgeon, which like, why didn't they do that earlier? Like you're like, wait a second, I thought Dame Judi Dench was in charge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's actually how it plays out too. I was like, wait, I think she was in charge, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That's my impersonation of elf fairy thing. Wait, wasn't she in charge?
Wait a second. Yeah. It's like very Ben Shapiro.
And then Judi Dench looks at the one guy. He's like, "Yeah, I made you a captain for a reason." Yeah, okay. To make fucking decisions.
Wild. So then we quick cut back to inside. Holly out of nowhere, because they outside have restored the magic. Holly just like shoves Dom with a bunch of magic. You're like, oh, I guess that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Fruit is exactly right.
And we're back.
Yeah. And we're back to life. Yeah. And I hate when he goes, I didn't cry, did I? And Artemis goes, little bit. Like, wait, why would you make it about that? Like this whole movie there's plenty of toxic masculinity, whatever else in this, but like, come on. If you're crying while you're dying, I think that's okay.
I think it's completely fine. I think it's totally fine.
I plan on crying when I'm dying.
All right, so Dom is, if the magic is back, then life is back. That's right.
Anyway, so we're all outside looking at Mulch's gut, where apparently he has the aculos.
Yeah. So I honestly, at this point, I had no idea what the fuck's going on. So the freeze frame is about to blow, right?
Yeah, which they explicitly say this time freeze is gonna blow.
It's gonna blow.
And also, what is that? How does time blow? Like, what is this? What does this mean?
Yeah, like you're holding it in. There's like a lot of pressure. I mean, I could think through all the ways, but it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to skip it.
I'm glad that Holly went to go save the fisherman, that fisherman that was stranded that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, he's been frozen in time for a very long time. Hours. So she goes, grabs him, and there's like a whole fairies going crazy trying to escape and get back in their fucking holes in the ground, blah, blah, before the time freeze blows. Gad's got the oculus in his stomach. But we do get a hint that Little Fowl still has a plan. He's still got a plan. This is all part of his plan. He's been planning this.
Well, you're right. We do get that sense, but it's not, they haven't done a good job of building up the character enough to actually make it an explicit thing.
Right. To make it believable. Like, it's just like, they just say it. They're like, what, he's got a plan. It's like, well, I don't know. Did you guys watch Ocean's 11?
Right.
Do Ocean's 11, but with fairies and, this.
I would love that. I would love a heist movie. I want this to be a good heist movie.
He's a criminal mastermind. Why not make the fucking thing something they've got a heist, and you pull in these 3 or 4 characters, you get Ocean's 4 fantasy.
That would be too easy, Russ. And this is when
Mr. Bean's Christmas holiday.
Yeah, this is a classic Mr. Bean sequel we didn't know we needed. So this is when I don't understand how getting sucked into the time vortex works, because at first when I saw that other fairy get sucked in, it seemed like they were dying, right?
Yeah.
And like now it seems like, when you get sucked into the time vortex, it just safely transports you to another place.
But it seems so much more terrifying than that.
Right. Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't either.
Like, it's cool effects. Like, they're doing a lot of neat stuff with effects that are like, this is what they spent $100 million on, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, neat effects mean nothing if you don't explain what the fuck's actually happening to them.
Right. Yeah, it's so dumb.
I feel like I've sworn more in this episode than I have than any others in like the last 4. Like, I try to be good about it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm actually generally pretty angry about this movie.
I guess it's been a while. But no, this movie's upsetting. It's justifiably upsetting.
Man, you're right. All right. So I think we're back. We're all back inside, right? So the time portal thing does its thing. Has it been done? Are we done with it?
No.
I thought we were. Well, I think it's done. I think it's gone, and everyone else is gone, and then we're back inside, and Little Fowl is like, "Oh, it's all part of my plan." I was like, "Well, what the fuck, man? Are you gonna let the audience know at any point what's part of your plan? And Dom's like,
No.
oh, cool, what's going on? And then they all get downstairs, and it's like they're all hanging out, and then
I guess you're right. It's the next day, right? At this point,
next day, or well, no, because so when the whole portal, when all the time portal thing is supposed to explode, Officer Shorty, she's sitting there by like a little hole in the ground. She's supposed to jump in, and she looks, and she disappears, and it's like her basically nixing out. And then we cut back inside. We were not sure actually where she's going, but we obviously know where she's going. And Little Fowl's like, oh, it's all part of the plan. And
it seems like the next day, but it's just because of the timey-wimey stuff that's going on, right?
Right. And they all hang out downstairs, and Officer Holly Short, she shows up, and she was part of the plan. This was part of the plan that was probably explained to her at some point that we was disconnected, that we weren't privy to it as the audience.
Right. Yep.
The whole conversation, probably when they were like going through the trust thing, he probably explained the plan to her, and we weren't allowed to see that because they wanted to make it, more whatever. It's stupid. It's annoying. I hate it. So
that sounds right. And that's when we get the explanation about what we're going to do with the Aculos, right? Now that we have the Aculos, like we can't give it to Opal Cowboy because it's far too powerful, obviously.
No, that band is way too ska for us.
Right, exactly. That band is way too doom for us. And like I love this is when we get a couple of gems that could have been good lines if this was a good movie, but like Artemis saying, my father used to say, a friend's eye is a good mirror. You're like, oh, that's a clever line.
Yeah.
But they waste it because this movie sucks. And then all of a sudden that's when him and Holly just are like, yeah, we're forever friends, right? Like, wait, why? like what happened in the last 5 minutes that made this happen? Because nothing here is linear at this point.
Yeah, because we had some dad chat. Like you literally you tranquilized me and threw me in a fairy jail.
Yeah, so dumb. Ugh. And then Dom just goes, well, we need to hurry, guys. I'm like, yeah, clearly, like the script was hurried. You all need to hurry now.
And
I get it.
And time to move on. So then I think Holly Short, she starts using the Oculus, right? And the trade-off that Artemis Little Fowl gives to her is like, hey, I'll give you the Oculus, but bring my dad back.
Right. Well, but before that, that's when we get to we have a very quick cut of the villain and Senior talking about say hello to Beechwood for me. This is like we're executing Senior at this point. Yes. Colin Farrell is about to die, and that's when we get Holly using the Aculos.
Right. Yeah. Right. There's a quick cut back and forth.
Say hello to Beechwood for me. Which like, wait, if you killed him, why would you say hello to? I don't. Whatever. This is stupid. Sure.
Yeah. So she goes through some magic fairy stuff. Says a bunch of elf spells, cool effects, magic, and then Artemis Little Fowl runs around the house. I mean, it's a pretty big home, so he doesn't really cover a lot of ground, but he covers a couple rooms, and Dad's not around.
Right.
And then they find they head down to the cellar because that's where it all starts,
Yep, exactly. He's just like running around screaming, Dad!
Like building up tension, like, oh, he's not here. Oh.
Right. Well, and meanwhile, our villain is saying, die, Fowl! And it's like doing a bunch of death magic or something on Artemis Fowl.
And then we find the basement's all fired up, and they go down there, and then there's Big Fowl.
Dad's home. Yeah. Daddy's home.
In the Chamber of Secrets. And then the villain's pissed and does the old...
Right. But the boys are hugging it out, so it's cool.
Everyone's good. And then we learn in this whole moment that Beechwood Short was a hero. True. Because Big Fowl comes back, sees Little Short, and it was like, so we got Little Short, Big Short, we got Little Fowl, Big Fowl. Big Fowl comes back, says, hey, Little Short, your dad's actually a cool guy. I know me telling you this doesn't mean much in terms of clearing the records within your society, but apparently it clears the records between you and I and the audience. So yeah, it's fine.
I like it. I mean, it makes sense.
But it's the rest of her like population that thinks she's a traitor and her father's a traitor, but no one heard that. No one heard that.
Tomato, tomato,
And then he hands her a little napkin of list of names that her father had pulled up were accomplices or like part of stealing or what I forget what.
No, he explicitly says this is a list of Opal's accomplices. I was trying to investigate them before
Opal's
before all this shit went down. Yeah,
and her father was trying to do the same.
Which, like, why didn't they turn this over to the fairy authorities? Like this, I don't understand. I don't know. It seems the in movie logic seems stupid. We also kind of glossed over it, but I feel like the right before this scene when the villain loses it all, she has like a good Darth Vader no with her warbly voice.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's kind of
love it.
So at this point in the movie, I was like, oh man, there's 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I was like, are we actually going to catch the villain?
Nope.
So I was like, at this point, I was like kind of irritated. I was like, man, 15 minutes to catch a villain. Maybe like, they're just going to like pull the old mask off and be like, it's been fucking so-and-so all along. And I was like,
it's been 1 week since you looked at me. Yes.
So then it just cuts. Go ahead.
It cuts to Haven City. No, I was going to say we cut to Haven City, right?
Yeah, Haven City. We got Judi Dench, the commander, and the young gun chat with Short. She's there. They're having a chat there, and classic captain to the young kid being like, we need people or fairies like you around here.
Even though she wildly disobeyed orders, and earlier Dame Judi Dench was talking about having her badge
multiple times. Times.
Oh no, it's fine. It's cool.
Yep. It's fine. And then I was like, ooh. And then we get Judi Dench gives Short a mission. She's like, I want you to investigate all the names on the list that your father came up with. I was like, ooh, sequels.
So frustrating. so frustrating. And nothing to do with the books.
So that's not happening.
And then she literally goes, here we go, Dad, and walks into a room where everyone claps.
Yeah. Like
the end, basically.
Yeah, it was like the Centaur and a bunch of random people and a couple of small aliens. It was like, what? Is Babu Frick in there too? And they're all like applauding her. I'm like, what did she do? What did she do? Like, she disobeyed orders? Salutes. Everyone's like, yeah. Fuck, you disobeyed and did orders kind of not at the same time.
Yeah. And she goes, all right, team, here we go. No, wait a second. Is she in charge now?
Does she have a team?
No. Apparently the whole police department is her team now.
None of this makes any sense.
Infuriating.
And then I was at this point, I was still like, yeah, no, there's still 15 minutes left. And I was like, well, what's going to happen?
Yeah. And that's the end of the fairies. We don't hear from them again.
Nope.
Like, now we cut back to the surface at the manor where there's a news frenzy out front again. Shock that Artemis Fowl has done some kind of crimes that nobody's talked about yet, because again, he's apparently some world famous antiquities dealer, which is not a thing that exists in the world.
I don't know. I think it does, doesn't it?
No, antiquities dealers do, but world famous antiquities dealers don't. Yeah. Sure, there's plenty of antiquities dealers. They're not famous.
Fair.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Not like world famous, like where we know them, like is like, oh, I know a baseball star. It's like, I know an antiquities dealer.
Indiana Jones. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
No, of course not. This is when they're like, I don't like this scene at all with the dad. So again, the dad is not a character in the books. In the movie, they're hanging out chatting at a window after the news frenzy where the dad is talking to the son like, oh yeah, big news crews out front. And he goes, don't worry, I got someone working on it now. And the dad goes, I figured you would. Wait, what? Why? What has led you to think that?
And they're like, I guess we're going to go finish this. And I was like, cool, we're going to finish this movie.
Yeah, wait, but before we go, I've got a call to make. And then he puts on his fucking stupid sunglasses in the house.
I gotta say one thing there. I
Sorry,
couldn't.
please do.
No, there's one thing. So he's sitting there, and they're like, we got to go finish this." And little Fowl goes like, "Oh, I got one call to make." And he throws on the sunglasses in front of Colin Farrell. There's no fucking way Colin Farrell, like, it must have taken him a couple of scenes to be like, take that seriously. No, hold on, Dad. I got one more call to make. Let me just call your captor for this entire movie and, like, you know, have a very direct conversation with him.
Yeah. Infuriating. And that's when I was like, oh shit, they got me, because I forgot again, apparently, when I was like, oh right, now they're actually going to start talking about Artemis Fowl, the criminal mastermind that I have come to know and love, the morally ambiguous character of, like, oh, maybe he was behind all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, you fucked up with my dad, is what I thought he was going for, but he wasn't. He was doing it as a hero threat instead of, like, you're wrong about my father, about Beechwood, about everything. We're coming for you. Dumb. So stupid. I'm so mad. They should have had him. It should have been Opal Cowboy in the first place. It should have been like a more minor villain, like a Justin Hammer,
like a straight up villain. Like, you've got a clear villain, and this is it, right? Yeah,
right. And then they could have, had Artemis at the end say, "Oh, you screwed up with my dad. You weren't supposed to take it that far. I planned this whole thing." Like, that's what I was interested. Like, I wanted him to be the mastermind of the whole kidnapping, the whole thing. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And he ends it with the same thing. So he's talking to Opal, and she says, "No, just who do you think you are?" And he goes, "I'm Artemis Fowl, and I'm a criminal mastermind." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awful. Terrible. Walks through his burning house with his sunglasses on, slow motion style. So we cut to the copter, get to the chopper.
And then we're back at the Josh Gad MI6, right?
Yep.
We're at the very nice Airbnb little middle of the ocean getaways,
Yeah. What a fairy tale you've told me, says the prison guard.
$675 a night. Yep. Prison guard's been like, what a fairy tale you've told me. Oh, really?
Yeah. They weren't buying it the whole time. Mm-hmm.
And then Josh Gad basically gives yet again another glowing Yelp review of the Fowl family, how awesome they are.
Awful.
It's like, dude, we got it.
Well, because our captor here is offering him a deal, right? He says, "Well, I mean, he's already got 400 years in fairy prison." So.
Yeah. So what the fuck was it like?
Yeah. He's getting a new deal with Europe prison, I guess.
MI6. So when they say like 10 years, he'd be like,
yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
He's like,
yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. How about this? How about you do whatever? And he goes, no. How about this? I walk out on my own and you leave the fowls alone forever. He's like, why would I do that? Well, so your fairy tales don't become living nightmares, and you better thank them the next time you see them, because the fowls protect us all. That's nothing to do with the book at all. It's because it's like, they're not protectors of the universe or whatever stupid thing that this movie's trying to make them be. Like, they're fucking criminals. Like, they're all they're trying to do is, like, steal awesome fairy shit and be like, oh no, we got all this fairy stuff now, and, like, dope for us. We profited. We've made millions of dollars.
I love it.
That's the whole premise. Yeah. That's why it's awesome.
I love it. I love it that you're getting angry about it too.
They're ruining it. It makes me mad.
So they basically, they turn them into criminals that steal to save the universe. But in the books, that's not.
No, of course not. Yeah. No, none of this happens in the books. And then he goes, clap your hands if you believe in fairies. And then shouts, Dwarfus Giganticus.
but then he also, at the same time, he pulls his hair back behind his ears, and you see he's got pointy ears.
Yep.
What is he? What is he?
He's a dwarf, I think, because he shouts Dwarfus Giganticus.
But what's he in the book?
He's a dwarf. He's just a regular He's a big dwarf.
But do they have ears like that? I thought that was like a elf / fairy thing. See, this is
I don't remember. It might just
confusing.
Be
just make
any of the Fae folk. They might have pointy ears in general. I don't know.
Oh my god. This ending. So all right. So we get that, and then he all of a sudden there's a window apparently above him that cracks open, and he conveniently.
Well, he unhinges his jaw, takes out the tracking device. And he gets they do another like horrifying Josh Gad weirding with his jaw. Yeah.
It's pretty terrifying, actually. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Takes out this little egg where he's like, Artemis designed it himself.
Tracking device. Huh, dummies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I guess. All right.
And then and then he gets sucked up on a ladder through this window to a helicopter.
Yeah, apparently there's a window at the top that breaks through with glass. The ladder drops in, kind of Joker, Batman, 1989 style, and he just gets pulled up out of there, and that's it. He's saved.
Yeah, he gets up, and Artemis Jr. is like, "We have some unfinished business," and this is when Josh Gad goes, "I love my job."
I was like,
"Wait,
what?
What
is your job?
Why are you working with them all of a sudden? Like this hasn't been explained at all."
Yeah, where are we in this movie? Is there another 2 hours left? Should we go find the villain?
Nope. The helicopter literally flies off into the sunset at this point.
And then that's fucking it. And I was so angry. I was livid at the end of this movie. This pissed me off. This isn't an end of a movie. This isn't an end of a movie.
You get Colin Farrell. You get Holly Short. You get young Artemis.
She's flying next
Josh
to the helicopter.
Gad. They're all winking at each other, doing stupid whatever. Like, haha, we made it.
Here we go.
And then they literally fly off into the sunset. So stupid.
And credits roll. And I was like, you had a villain, but you didn't solve anything. Nothing was solved here.
Last time we saw her was Yep.
It's like watching The Hobbit. You guys see the enemy, like, cool, here's the movie he's going to start beginning. Oh, it's already been 2 hours.
Yeah, but worse. Yeah, and I thought the movie was going to be 2 hours. So for me, it was like, oh, well, I'm glad at least it wasn't that. Like, you know what? I'm glad that they at least didn't do that much.
Well, when you told me it was 2 hours, like, Jesus Christ, 2 hours, like, okay. But then when I saw it was only an hour and a half, and I got to the end, I was like, oh, I feel better about this. At least it was a quick hour and a half. Like the movies we've watched have they've been an hour and 15 and felt like 3 hours. So
yes,
I'll give it
all things considered. Yeah.
But this is a big budget.
$125 million roughly. What did they spend it on?
Yeah. Like how much more is that than the Fanatic?
Oh, that's a great question. Wait, let me do the quick math on that.
Actually,
in the meantime, though,
it's got to be at least 1,000.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure.
10,000? 10,000 times the budget? I mean, we don't know the final revenue numbers. I mean, we know it made $300, but like this definitely
looks like roughly 34,000 times as much money as the Fanatic made. Making money wise, we have no way of knowing, obviously. Budget wise,
this movie definitely made, even if it was like 5 people subscribed to Disney Plus.
Sure.
Yeah, it's already made more money than.
Yeah, well, yeah, how much was a Disney Plus subscription? $7.99, something like that.
Well, $7.99. Well, as we say this, it might change though. So
that's true. It could be more, I guess. But let's say it's roughly what?
10. Call it even $13.
Well,
I'm just trying to think of how much money that movie made, and think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not roughly like 500 people. Subscriptions worth for the Fanatic.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If we're talking $8 a month, roughly 500 people would be like $3,800, which I think is how much the Fanatic made.
That's sounds about right.
Embarrassing. Yeah, embarrassing.
So
anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with presumably another awful movie.
Yeah, no, I think we will be. I've heard both is that it? We're done. That's it. We're done, huh?
I think we're done, man.
Let's kill it. Let's crush this thing because we're done.
Yeah. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram at It's This Meets That, and we're ITMT Pod on Twitter.
Or if you're feeling old fashioned or an anti-meat lover, you can send us an email at itsthismeansthat@gmail.com. As always, you can find all our episodes on itsthismeansthat.com. Thank you again for listening.